Hi everybody, my name is Scott Walls. For over 25 years, I've deployed ERP applications for some of the world's largest organizations. During that time, I've taught thousands of people just like you how to discover, use, deploy, and support Oracle's back-office software. In this lesson, I'm going to show you the out-of-the-box reporting options for the Suppliers application to include OTBI, or a quick walkthrough. Please note that this lesson is part of the Discover Procurement course. But before we get started, did you know that you could earn free Discovery badges for display on your LinkedIn profile just by watching videos like this one? You can. Stay until the end of this video and I'll show you how. Okay, so let's get started. Key topics for this lesson are as follows: seated user, user homepage, application homepage, application search page, so that's the basic or advanced page, sometimes called manage, and then finally, Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence, or the OTBI tool. It's worth noting that this video is to teach you what options are available for out-of-the-box reporting, or something very close to it. It is not the video to watch to understand how to use, let's say, OTBI, or how to deploy OTBI, or where to stick the queries, etc. Those videos are found in the Use and Deploy menu options on fusionx.io. Okay, so with that, let's jump out of our PowerPoint presentation. So as promised, first order of business is the seated user. So we're going to look at suppliers. So Calvin Roth is a good seated user. If there's anything you can't see with Calvin, you can always log in as Meiji. Meiji is another user that allows you to see and or approve the suppliers. She's actually technically a supplier manager role, which is the highest level role that you can have in seated environments. So that's the seated user. Now we are on the home page, which you can see here, a lot of HR-ish things. And so with that, let's go ahead and roll down to the bottom, and you can see there's a series of different infolets. So let's start at the user-defined infolet. Sorry, let me roll around here a little bit. And so what you can see is that the user-defined infolets usually will allow you a button up here that you can choose which infolets you can see based on your roles. And so that is usually right up, above here. And so then these are the different roles or reports that have been granted access to this user, Calvin Roth. And so you can see they span. They're not obviously just suppliers. They're really anything that is part of his job or whoever's job the role is. Next up, you can take a look still on the home page of the source to Seto infolet. So this is where Calvin can select a series of different infolets. So infolets go across different applications. So this means they'll probably combine POs and recs, or employees, or dollars, or something, as opposed to info tiles, which are just for one application. Info tile example is always the AP invoice. For example, the invoices that come in through a feed, the email inbox, the OCR invoices. So the infolets here can be selected or deselected, activated or inactivated. As I mentioned, there's usually another personalization up here that allows us to select the different infolets for globally for Calvin. So that's the user homepage out-of-the-box reporting. Next up, let's go to the application homepage, in this case for suppliers, which is pretty sparse, but let's start there. So to get there, we'll select the procurement functional area. This brings up all the procurement applications, and we'll select suppliers. This takes us to the application homepage. So when you look at what's available for suppliers, so in general, there's three types within Fusion. You have a transactional homepage, a lot of dollars, a lot of visual, they usually call it an overview. You have a configuration value, like you see here for suppliers. There's not dollar focused, etc. Really, it's more about incomplete transactions, things you might need to take a look at. But it's just a different layout. And then sometimes you go straight into a transaction like the requisition page. So here we can see the suppliers that are part of an authorization request. So who's been rejected, approved. Business classification. So this is once you're in for, let's say, anything that has a certification, a certifying agency, an end date. This, and it has a setting, right, will tell you which ones are expiring. Coming up or in this period of time. So that's nice. You know, again, did you see, here's something for you to watch. Down that same path, if you will, is, hey, these are incomplete. No address, no contact, no administrative. Right, so you have a series of data, and lastly, here's the supplier profile. So for the suppliers that have gone through the portal and they've made some changes to their profile, those need to be approved or reviewed, or both. And so you can see that. So this is the home page and the information on the application homepage. So we've covered the seated user, the seated user's homepage, the application homepage for suppliers. Now we're going to do what they call the application search page. So anytime you go into these applications, we'll select manage suppliers. And so you can see a pretty basic amount of information here, just keywords. And so this will search a couple, the name, alternate name, a couple different fields that are available for the supplier. And then if you want more, you can select advanced. And so you can see it then provides you several different fields. If those are insufficient, there's any number of fields that can be added here. And so this is just more fields. If any of them that you ask, it adds that field to here. You can search for it or remove it. Once you're done, you can save that and actually set your search to that as a default as well. The contents of these searches get displayed down here. And so then I may, let's see if I want to look at all my suppliers. And so I get any number of different values returned here. If I wanted to change the columns of those values, I can do that here. I'm in effect creating a report down here. If I want to produce that report to Excel, I can do that from here. So that's another way that you can perform some out-of-the-box reporting, if you will. The last way that we'll talk about is in what's called OTBI, or Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence. And so sometimes you can see those data values. This one you cannot. Over here, if you see something that says shared folder or my folders, those are folders where queries or analysis and reports have been created. So let's go ahead and jump into Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence. So you can see if I open the navigator menu, and I scroll down to tools, I can go into reports and analytics. This is really straightforward. So at this point, this is a tool for people who don't know SQL. And so what you can do, rather than guessing, I'm on a supplier page. There's tens of different tables for suppliers. Wouldn't know what they are, how to join them. That's all done for you. And so what you can do is you can either browse here if you're looking for to create a particular grab a particular data set and create a query or analysis, they call it, around that and put it out to a report. You can start here, but probably the easiest way to do this is to go here and create some kind of analysis. And so really we're just going to go look at some data, pull it onto a page, and produce a report very quickly, a listing. And Fusion will walk us through that. So now I can say, all right, well, what's the subject matter I want to take a look at? I'm probably going to search on supplier. And so you can see there's any number: profile change request, suppliers real time, supplier import. So I'm going to take my supplier. That's my subject matter. I've now pulled it in. If I expand that, I can see all of the different values for any supplier. So let's say these are interesting. So here I have fields and counts, or excuse me, fields. Very different than if I wanted to have a number or a count or a section. So again, I'm not trying to teach OTBI query writing, but they're different reasons that you'd grab different fields. I also have the contexts that are related, but any of these fields that I've got, if I want to pool these particular values, so let's say go to my supplier profile, and I want my alternate name, I can just double click anybody that's out there. I could also highlight something, pull it into my data, and then I can just go next as I walk through these different train stops to produce a report. And so that's OTBI. Like I said, there's different ways that you can do that. It's pretty self-explanatory and very straightforward. It's really meant for somebody who doesn't have the technical ability to create SQL statements and reports. So pretty easy, pretty straightforward. So with that, we've covered the seated user, Calvin Roth. We looked at his homepage. We looked at the application homepage where we had, the supplier change request, the business classifications expiring. We then looked at the application or manage search page, the basic and advanced, and then finally ended with OTBI or Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence. So that's a little bit of how you can get, or what you can get from a data perspective out of the supplier's application, OOTB, or what we call out of the box. So hopefully you found that interesting, and it's helped you understand what's available, and now you know where to go next. That's it. Thanks for watching. Okay, as promised, here are the 5 steps you can perform today to start earning free badges for your LinkedIn profile. Step 1, navigate to Panameer.com and either sign in or join now. It's free. Step 2, in the upper left, under the Discover menu, select the course that you want to watch and get badged for. Step 3, watch all of the different video lessons in that course. Step 4, when it's complete, send your LinkedIn profile and the course you watched and your user ID to badges@Panameer.com. And then sit back and wait for step 5 when we attach a badge to your LinkedIn profile.